everyone, welcome to Love to Create by Tonya. Today we're going to be working on 3 fall Halloween Dollar Tree DIYs. Let's go ahead and get started with DIY number 1. For this design, you're going to need one of the little wood signs from Dollar Tree, some black chalk paint, some white acrylic paint, some gray chalk paint, and I have one of the little wood pumpkins, and a pair of gloves and some brushes. And you also will need some rope twine for the hanger on the back. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip my sign over, and I'm going to use the back side of this sign. Now I'm going to take some of my white acrylic paint and I'm just going to apply one layer of the paint. I'm going to use my little tape trick to hold my panel down. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my black marker and I'm going to draw straight lines down right where those notches are in the panel, and this will represent the wood boards. Now the next thing I'm going to do to make this look like the real wood, I'm going to take my gray chalk paint and one of my little scrubby pads, and I'm just going to gently drag that paint down through each of the little panels that I have made. And you just keep doing this until you get the look that you want to see. And you could also add some brown color in there or some dark black. Just on this design, I thought I would have it be just the white and the light gray running through the wood grain. Now you want to dry this really well before you take your wood pumpkin, and you're going to place it on your panel and just sketch around it. And then I added just a free-handed stem to the top. Now I'm going to take my black acrylic paint and I'm just going to paint in the inside of the pumpkin. Now you can paint your pumpkin any color that you would like. The color theme that I'm going with on this design is just the black, white, and gray. But I love the concept of this idea where you're actually just tracing the image onto the panel, because you can do so many different things with this, and that way you can just kind of keep your paneled pumpkin as a sample or use it as a pattern on several different textures. You want to dry it really well again. Now we're going to take one of those wood leaves that I had picked up at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to use the leaf as a pattern and just trace it onto my pumpkin. And you could put more than one of these on here, but I chose just to have that one right at the top of my stem coming down onto the pumpkin. And I'm using a crayon to actually trace this on, and it worked really well. It was just something I thought I would try in the spur of the moment, and I think I'll be using that white crayon again. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that gray paint on first, and this is the gray chalk paint. and I'm just going to detail in around the leaf. Now I'm going to take some of my white acrylic paint and just go over it in different places, just making highlights on the leaf. And this will give it a more realistic look. I'm just going to touch up a few areas on my pumpkin. Once again, you're going to dry it really well. Now I'm going to take that marker again and just draw a few of the little squigglies coming out from the top of the leaf. Now I'm just going to take this and outline and make it a little more detailed around it. And then very gently make the little veins in the leaf. Now I'm going to take that crayon again and I'm going to sketch out what I want it to say on my pumpkin. Now this is a felt white marker and it works really, really well. I purchased this one at Michael's and I'm definitely going to go back and get some more of these. I'll leave the name of what the marker is in my description below. Now I'm just dusting off a little bit of that wax from the crayon. And I went over these letters with this white felt marker 3 different times, and that give it the brightness that I was looking for. Well, I think this one turned out great. It's a charming little piece of farmhouse decor. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add that little rope onto the back of it for hanging. And we're going to call this one done. Alright, now on to DIY number 2. In this design, we're going to use the same concept with the wood panels. The supplies you're going to need for this is the black chalk paint, black acrylic paint, the white acrylic paint, 2 of the little wood cats, a chalkboard, some of the wood clip frames. Now the first thing I'm going to do is take off these little clips. You are going to need to fill in those holes with maybe some wood putty or spackling. But first I'm going to go ahead and put mine together with the craft sticks. I used hot glue for this. You can add a little bit of wood glue, but they stayed together really well. Now I am going to go ahead and take that wood putty and just fill those holes in a little bit. Now I'm going to add a generous layer of my white acrylic paint. Now I'm going to take that marker again and just draw down through those little creases in the wood, and then I'm going to go right over it with that white acrylic paint while it's still wet and let it smear a little bit, and it helps it look like aged wood. I'm going to do a little bit of cracks in the wood with the marker and paint over it also. Now I'm going to take that chalkboard, and I've decided to place mine right in the middle with the two cats, one on each side. And I did just hot glue that on. I'm going to paint the cats with the black acrylic paint. And the same thing, you might have to fill in the hole a little bit with some spackling or wood putty. Now I'm going to attach one of those little sawtooth hooks right on the back for hanging. Now I have some letters that I purchased at Walmart, and there was several in a pack, that's why I got them. And they were gold, and I'm taking that white chalk paint, you've probably seen this done, and just painting the whole sheet of letters, and it come out really nice. The letters are nice and bright, and they look great on this little chalkboard. And I'm going to put a fun little saying on here. And here we have another charming little piece of farmhouse decor. I am going to finish this one off with some of the matte Mod Podge. Because I think this would be a fun little design to hang outside your front door. So we want to protect it with that Mod Podge. And there's our second DIY. Now for our third DIY, we're going to do another one of these signs and add a little box at the bottom for a flower arrangement. You're going to need another one of those signs from Dollar Tree. I liked what this one had on the front of it, so I'm kind of going to use this and just give it a new, fresh look. Now I'm going to use one of these blue drop cloths. They're perfect when you're doing some of the messier work to keep your table clean. Now the little scrubby pad didn't do a whole lot, or the sandpaper, so I'm going to take my utility knife and I'm just going to gently scrape over the glittered areas. And it's okay if some of the wording comes up. That's going to play into the design that I'm going to do. Now I have some dish soap in some warm water and one of those scrubby pads, and I've decided just to take a lot of that paint off because I was really liking how it was starting to look. And the little scuffed up, scratched off places, I didn't mind them at all. It kind of played into the very old and aged look of the sign. And you'll see when I start working on this how everything just kind of comes together. I did dry this really well before I started painting it because it just got slightly damp. Now I'm going to take my black acrylic paint and I'm just going to start detailing out the areas that I want to stand out. Basically, I just want to enhance the design that was already on here and just give it a new look. You can see I'm doing the black first, and then I will do some light gray and white highlights throughout the areas on here, the clouds, the witch, and maybe accent a few of the stars. Now this was kind of a cream color. I liked that it wasn't quite as harsh as the white. And you can see I'm leaving the underneath of the clouds dark, and then you want to bring them up into the gray tones. And I'm even doing just that little bit of highlights throughout the witch, and it just brings her to life. Now I'm just going to outline these letters with the black by itself. I am going to outline the frame part with the solid black, and then I think I'll go back in and add a little bit of that light gray just to help it stand out. Can touch up our little clouds a little more, add a little bit of lightness to them. Now I'm going to take these little witch hat stickers and just put a few of those on our sign. Well, I hope you're enjoying these Dollar Tree DIYs in the fall Halloween theme. Let me know in the comments which one's your favorite. We're going to go ahead and put that coat of matte Mod Podge to seal everything in. Now I'm going to go ahead and just put some of that black acrylic paint on the back to finish it off. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take one of those little Dollar Tree boxes, and I'm just going to paint it in a weathered gray with some of the black accents around the edges of it. Now I'm actually going to take this box and attach it to the bottom of the sign, because I am going to make this one to hang on the wall, but you could also just set it on a table and fill it with candy. But I've decided that I'm going to put some flowers in it, and it would have looked really nice also with greenery, but I just happen to have these flowers and I just wanted to try that. Now I did take some of that Gorilla wood glue, and I put a little of that on there, and then I put some hot glue on also, and it seemed to hold really well once it had dried. Now I'm going to tie my little rope hanger on. Now these are some spring flowers I had, and I'm just going to take that one flower, dip it pretty heavy, and then just dab the rest of the flowers lightly to get the black paint on them. I even added a little orange to a few. You want to dry your flowers really well because the paint gets on there kind of heavy. Now I'm going to take a couple pieces of this foam, and I'm going to glue that into the bottom. You don't have to glue it in That way you can change it out if you needed to put candy or something or make a little candy dish out of it. I didn't glue the flowers in. That way I thought I could change it out to some greenery. And there we go. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed these 3 fun and simple DIYs. Let me know which one's your favorite in the comments below. And I hope you like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.